here we are in Paris, and I have kidnapped my now famous colleague, Maria Teresa Gutierrez de MacGregor, from the University of Mexico. She has just this day been elected Vice President of the International Geographical Union, and that makes me feel very proud. I know that it's the kidnap, so we have to only have a short amount of time. But
Yes.
let me start by asking you how it felt to be elected Vice President of the International Geographical Union.
Well, first, as geographer, I'm very, very pleased. And second, as woman, I'm more pleased. I really feel very happy because I think for many years it's on the first or the second woman in the committee.
That's wonderful. Oh, we're all very excited about it.
Thank you very much.
Yes. What do you hope to do?
Well, I think I'm going to work very hard in order to prove that women can work better than men. I am not very feminist, but I like to work hard and to try to show the people and the colleagues that women can do it very well.
That's wonderful. And there are many projects, I'm sure, that you
Yes, there are many. I didn't know that it will be, but now I think I have to think a little bit more carefully and to try to work a lot, especially for the developing countries.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, call on us, if we can help in any way.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Now tell me, how did you come into geography? Tell me where you come from and...
Well, I come from Mexico. Mm-hmm. I was born in Mexico City, and since I was very child, I liked geography, but I like it also some other subjects like mathematics and architecture, for instance. I like it very much. But at the end, as you see in Mexico, it's very difficult to being a woman to go to the field trips. Mm-hmm. So I decided to get a different career in which you have a little bit of mathematics and geography, and that's, I think, the beginning of my career.
And your particular line within geography became?
I am very much interested in urban geography and also in population geography.
Yes. There are many women in those fields.
Well, yes, of course. And especially, I think my inclination for that was first because when I was in London School of Economics, I studied there in, I don't remember exactly the date, I think it was 1962, with Professor Emily Jones.
Yes.
And so, that's...
Population. Yes.
Urban population with him. Mm-hmm. And then I came to Paris to make my PhD, and I did it with Professor Jacqueline Bauger-Garnier. Alors, that's the reason I am so much interested in all these things.
That was before the 12 milliards d'hommes. It was after her first 2 volumes of population.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, that's...
And I admire her so much, so I try to follow his steps.
Yes. Now, don't get too tired.
No, it's...
Yes, but from your background, now, from your childhood upbringing in Mexico, what do you remember as being most influential? What gave you the courage to just go ahead and do it anyway?
Well, I think it's difficult to say. I start like this without thinking too much. That I remember that in the high school I liked very much geography. Mm-hmm. I used to have a very good teacher that he always tell us about the different countries and his way of life and things like that, and I thought it was very interesting. And since then I try to travel all the time with my husband all over the world, so I have tried to go to all the congresses I can, first with the Congresses of Geography, and then to the other congresses of my husband's, that he was, unfortunately he died a year ago, but he was entomologist. So we were together all over the world.
And his name is MacGregor. Yes?
That's the reason of the MacGregor's name. My name is Gutierrez, but in Mexico we put together the name of the husband afterwards. So it's Gutierrez de MacGregor. And I always joking with my husband, saying that the MacGregors from Mexico comes from the pirates of the Scotland.
They were pirates.
Well, they are always arrived the pirates to the Gulf Coast of Mexico, but it's only joking.
And they took women as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And have you worked mainly in Mexico since?
Yes, mainly in Mexico, and especially in Mexico City, and all the big problems that Mexico City has. So many problems. I think it's one of the most interesting cities because you have all the problems, and so you can study anything you like. There are problems of water, problems of pollution, problems of housing, problems of everything. So it's...
Yes. And you have a good department?
Yes. Fortunately, now I am the head of the department of the Institute of Geography. I am the director of the department. And we are 70 research workers.
That's a big department.
It's a big department.
Yes.
Well,
yes. You know, I'm really curious about geography in general in Mexico. Can you give a sort of description of how things are there?
Well, we are very worried because since I want to say 5 or 7 years ago, they are trying to introduce geography, including in some other subjects. Mm-hmm. And we notice that this is very bad for geography. That is not good because the feeling of the geography, we notice that it's not the same, and people is not, the younger are not interested in geography. They really don't know. If you include it, they are, how to say it in English, vanished. Yes. In between all these things. So we are very worried about that. In spite of that, we have in the Institute of Geography of the university a group of researchers that they are trying to do their best for keeping the geography going. And those are, we have 3 departments, different departments: economic geography, social geography, and physical geography. Mm-hmm. So we have divided like that.
Are they quite distinct? Is there any overlap at all?
Well, now it's quite distinct, but we are trying to overlap and to try to work all together, at least in one theme or in one region. But it's difficult. We are very always working a little bit alone.
Yes, it is a big... And you get many students?
The research is separate from the teaching. So, but all the research workers we always teach in the school that is located in the Faculty of Philosophy or Letters. Though we are there, and we have 1,000 students. It's a big number. Yes.
Oh, yes. But originally, was the influence mainly French or Spanish?
Well, I will say Spanish. When I was in the school, and at the first degree of license, it was one of the teachers that encouraged me. Well, there were 2. One was from Spain, Professor Carrasco. He came to Spain after the civil war of Spain, and he was a very extraordinary man. And then the other was Professor Jorge Avivon. He was Cuban, but he became Mexican. He stayed all along in Mexico, and he tried to develop. I think most of the geographers become involved in that because he was so interested in this subject. And well, I think it's mainly. And afterwards, I came to England. So then the influence was of the Cite of the English people, and then afterwards I came to Paris, and I think I have both influences, but 3 with the Mexican and 4 with the Cuban. But the Cuban is more Mexican.
Well, that's a rich background, many different streams.
I think it's very interesting if you have different views.
Yes. But now you mentioned initially that you had hopes that the IGU could do something for developing societies. How does geography actually help on problems of development in Mexico, if it does?
Well, the problem is now the geographers, we are trying to enter into the government, trying to help the government to solve all the kind of problems. It's difficult, but now there are a few geographers in the different the environments, in the different departments. For instance, we have it in health department, and ministry we call it, in education, in water resources, and many like those. And well, I think in the future it will very
that's
useful.
The direction. That's a more helpful direction, you think, than working directly with the people.
Well, I think we can have both. And I notice also that we need more applied geography, especially for developing countries.
Yes. and learn from some of the mistakes that
And that's
made,
right.
maybe.
And
Yes.
don't to make the same mistakes. That's
Yes,
right.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And to try to find methodologies for our own experience.
Yes, yes. I must ask you this question, because if I don't, my women colleagues will charge me for having neglected it. Do you think that women have a special contribution to make to geography?
Well, I will say that in Mexico, yes.
Mm.
It's funny, but in Mexico, until a few years, it was most of the students were women.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That's extraordinary.
And well, a few years ago, this has been changed a little bit, but there are a lot of women. And I will tell you, in the Institute of Geography, most of the directors have been women, except
See.
2.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Yes.
I think it's characteristic of other South American countries.
Well, I don't know in some other cases, but in Argentina also, well.
I've heard that there were many women.
Well-
and in Rio, it was clear on the Commission for the History of Thought that all the delegates were women, virtually.
I am glad.
Yes, you're glad. Well, I meant more than numbers when I asked you that question. You know, I mean, is there a special way of construing things, of conducting research, of understanding the world, which you think women might have?
Well, I think we are more conscious in many things. We have more feeling, and we have this, how do you call it in English? Intuition. That's right, intuition. And that helps quite a lot. I think, sometimes how do you go more than for intuition than from something else.
Yes, yes, I know. Well, I know that your election on this day and your way of construing things is going to give all of us women a lot of courage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
coming. And I hope you make it through this day without a heart attack.
Thank you very much.